Some people don't collapse because they are weak. They collapse because they spent years being strong for everyone else. In a city that never truly sleeps, where lights burn long after midnight and ambition hums through glass towers like electricity through copper wires, somewhere along the way, Maya began believing a dangerous idea, that her worth as a person was measured by how useful she could be to everyone around her. Her life slowly rearranged itself around that belief. At the office, she managed a young employee named Leo. When deadlines approached and problems appeared, Leo always turned to Maya, and Maya always stepped in. Instead of teaching him how to solve the issue himself, she stayed late every night fixing it for him. She told herself she was protecting her team. But the truth was simpler. It felt easier to carry the burden herself than risk disappointing someone. Outside the office, the pattern continued. Her best friend Chloe lived in a constant emotional storm. Chloe called Maya whenever something went wrong. Rejected art exhibitions, broken relationships, creative crises that appeared every few weeks. Maya always answered, even during work hours, even when she was exhausted. She would listen patiently for hours, offering advice, rewriting Chloe's portfolio, calming the panic that filled the phone line. And then there was Julian. Julian was Maya's husband, a successful lawyer whose life moved with the smooth efficiency of someone who had never needed to manage the details himself. Maya booked his reservations, remembered family birthdays, planned vacations, and quietly held together the countless small pieces of daily life that make adulthood function. Julian loved Maya. In his own way, he truly did. But he had grown comfortable with the invisible labor she performed. To him, Maya's constant support had become the background rhythm of life, like electricity running through the walls of a house. You rarely notice it when it works. You only complain when it stops. And slowly, Maya became something no human being should ever become. She became the battery. The battery of the office. The battery of her marriage. The battery of her friendships. Everyone plugged into her energy without thinking twice. At first, she didn't mind. Helping people made her feel valuable. Being needed felt like love. Her calendar filled with obligations until there was not a single empty hour left in her week. Her phone vibrated constantly with requests, emergencies, questions, and responsibilities that all seemed to require her immediate attention. Still, Maya told herself everything was under control. Until the night the illusion finally broke. It happened after months of relentless work. Maya was walking through the crowded streets of the city when the lights around her began to blur. The noise of traffic faded into a distant hum. Her legs suddenly felt heavy, as if gravity itself had quietly doubled. And then the battery died. Maya collapsed. When she opened her eyes again, she was lying in a hospital room. The doctor explained calmly what had happened: severe exhaustion, burnout. Her body had simply refused to keep running. For the first time in years, Maya had no tasks waiting for her. No emails, no deadlines, no crises demanding her attention. And in that stillness, uncomfortable truths began to surface. She waited for people to check on her, for concern, for love, for someone to sit beside her bed and ask if she was okay. But what arrived instead revealed something she had never allowed herself to see. Her boss sent an email asking for her cloud passwords so Leo could take over her projects. Julian visited briefly, not with flowers but with frustration, because he could not find his dry clean suit and his schedule had fallen apart without her organizing it. Chloe sent a voice message talking entirely about a new guy she had met and how disappointed she was that Maya couldn't come out for drinks. The message ended with a line that echoed in Maya's mind long after the screen went dark. "Too bad you can't come tonight. I really need your advice." Maya stared at the hospital ceiling and finally saw the truth. She had not been loved for who she was. She had been appreciated for what she provided. In that quiet realization, something inside her changed. The old Maya, the woman who believed her purpose was to power everyone else's lives, quietly disappeared. And a new Maya began to wake up. When she left the hospital a week later, the city looked exactly the same as before. The streets were still crowded. The towers still glowed with ambition. The race for success continued without noticing her absence. But Maya had changed. The first test came when she walked into her apartment and saw the familiar chaos Julian had left behind. In the past, she would have cleaned it immediately. This time, she walked past it. On Sunday morning, Maya did something she had not done in years. She sat by the window with a book while sunlight filled the room, and the city moved outside without her participation. When Julian wandered into the kitchen and asked about breakfast, expecting the routine she had always prepared, Maya answered calmly, "I'm taking time for myself today. There's food in the fridge, or you can order something." At first he looked confused, but eventually he figured it out. The next test came with Chloe. When Chloe arrived ready to unload another emotional storm, Maya gently stopped her. "I love you," she said, "but I can't carry your crises anymore. You deserve someone trained to help with that. A therapist, not just a friend." The conversation was uncomfortable. Boundaries often are, especially when people have grown used to unlimited access to your energy. But something unexpected happened. Instead of destroying the friendship, the honesty changed it. Chloe eventually began seeing a therapist. Their conversation slowly shifted from endless problems to ideas, art, and dreams. At the office, the transformation continued. When Leo approached Maya with another mistake, expecting her to fix it as always, she kept her hands away from the keyboard. "I'll guide you," she said, "but you have to solve it." Leo struggled at first, but eventually he figured it out, and for the first time he began learning how to stand on his own. Maya started leaving the office on time. She reclaimed her evenings, her weekends, her energy. And something remarkable happened. The world did not collapse. People adapted. Julian learned to manage parts of his own life. Leo grew more capable. Chloe found healthier ways to handle her emotions. By stepping back, Maya had not abandoned the people around her. She had allowed them to grow. The city still rushed around her with the same relentless urgency. But Maya had discovered a different rhythm inside the chaos. She was still kind, still supportive, still generous. But her kindness was no longer a tax she paid to earn love. It was a gift she gave freely, when she chose to. Because she had finally learned a lesson that too many people discover too late. You cannot pour from an empty cup. In a world that constantly demands your time, your attention, and your energy, protecting your peace is not selfish. It is survival. If you do not set boundaries, the world will gladly consume every ounce of energy you have to offer. And the most dangerous part is that it will thank you for it. Right up until the moment you collapse, Maya stopped being the battery that powered everyone else's lives. Instead, she became something far more powerful. A human being who understood her own worth. And when you value yourself, something remarkable happens. You teach the world how to value you too. And she has never been stronger. So ask yourself something tonight. Are you living your life? Or are you powering everyone else's? Because the world will always take energy from those who never say no. But the people who learn to protect their energy discover something far greater than approval. They discover freedom. And freedom is worth far more than being useful. This is Ethan's Spire Stories. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who might need permission to protect their own energy. And remember something simple. You were never meant to be a battery for the world. You were meant to be a life.